podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always tell you to go? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. Let me entertain you. This week's shows, I have the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday nights. Now that the quarantine has been starting to be lifted, we've been having a good time over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas on Friday nights. They have a full bar. The kitchen is open. Pool tournament on Friday nights. And, even if you don't want to get into the tournament, they always save a table or two for the non-tournament people. So you can play some pool and have some fun while you're waiting for your turn to sing on the stage right next to little old me. Now, we are taking precautions. You wear masks on the way in. So make sure that you bring a mask with you while you're seated at your table having your drinks. You don't have to wear a mask. You can pull it down a little bit so you can get access to your mouth hole and you can drink your drinks. Let's see. Today on the program, it's What Makes You Smarter. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. I'm transmitting live today on Facebook. Let's see, Twitter, Periscope, LinkedIn, YouTube, twitch.tv/KeysDAN. Hey, I'm asking people, head over to youtube.com and look up RadioWhat.com and add that. Put a little subscribe on there. I'd appreciate it so much. Thank you. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, July 26th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Hannah downgraded to tropical storm after making landfall. Hurricane Hannah made landfall in Texas twice as a Category 1 storm Saturday before the National Hurricane Center downgraded it to a tropical storm once again Sunday morning. At that point, Hannah had a maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. Despite weakening, the storm still presents a threat to northeastern Mexico and southern Texas. Tidal surges, dangerous surf, and tornadoes all remain possibilities, but heavy rainfall remains the most significant threat, the Associated Press reports. Forecasters said Hannah could bring 6 to 12 inches of rain through Sunday night, with isolated totals of 18 inches. Quote, "We're not even close to over at this point," end quote, said Chris Birchfield, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Brownsville, Texas. Quote, "We're still expecting catastrophic flooding," end quote. This is according to the Associated Press and NBC News. Number 2, several U.S. states hit new 7-day average highs for coronavirus infections and deaths. The United States on Saturday reported more than 74,000 coronavirus cases and 1,000 deaths in the previous 24 hours, meaning that more than 1,000 Americans have died each day between Tuesday and Friday. Florida reported more than 12,000 new cases of coronavirus infections during that span, bringing the state's total number of coronavirus confirmed cases to 414,511. That figure means that Florida has surpassed New York as the state with the second highest number of confirmed infections behind California, which, like Florida, has seen case surges over the last several weeks. Florida also reported 124 new resident deaths from COVID-19, bringing the total number of fatalities to 5,777. As of Saturday morning, nearly 9,000 people were hospitalized with COVID-19 across the state. 7-day averages for both new infections and fatalities hit new highs in several states as well. This is according to the Washington Post and the Orlando Sentinel. Number 3, protests widen across the U.S. Protesters returned to the streets in several American cities Saturday in solidarity with demonstrations against police brutality and racial injustice in Portland, Oregon. The Portland protests have been taking place for weeks, and demonstrators and state officials have accused federal agents of arresting protesters without cause or identifying themselves, sparking a black backlash against the Department of Homeland Security. Seattle was the site of one of Saturday's more intense demonstrations, which resulted in 45 arrests and injuries suffered by both protesters and police officers. Seattle's police chief, Carmen Best, said the department declared the event to be a riot. Protesters clashed with police in other cities, including Los Angeles, Portland, and Oakland. In Austin, Texas, one man was shot and killed during a protest. Police said the suspect is in custody. This is according to the New York Times and USA Today. Number 4, John Lewis Memorial Procession to cross famed Selma Bridge. A multi-day memorial procession began Saturday in honor of the late Representative John Lewis, Democrat, Georgia. The first ceremony took place in the civil rights icon's hometown of Troy, Alabama. Several hundred gathered at Troy University's Trojan Arena in socially distanced fashion as Lewis's family members spoke out about him. On Sunday, Lewis's body will make a final journey across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. In 1965, when Lewis was just 25, he helped lead a march for black voting rights across the structure, which many people hope will be renamed in Lewis's honor. The protesters met intense physical resistance from Alabama state troopers on the bridge, and the day would later become known as Bloody Sunday. This is according to the Atlanta Journal, Constitution, and CNN. Number 5, North Korea acknowledges suspected coronavirus case for first time. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un declared an emergency and imposed a lockdown in the border city of Kaesong after the country reported its first suspected coronavirus case, state media said Sunday. Pyongyang shut its borders and put thousands of people in isolation 6 months ago when the coronavirus pandemic began, but Kim's regime has not acknowledged any coronavirus cases during that span, a feat analysts say was always unlikely. Still, the announcement appears to be a significant step for the secretive state. Experts believe it may represent a cry for humanitarian assistance. State News said a person who defected 3 years ago to South Korea returned last week and exhibited COVID-19 symptoms after, quote, illegally crossing the demarcation line, end quote. This is according to Reuters and the BBC. Number 6, staffers clear premises ahead of U.S. consulate closure in Chengdu. U.S. consulate staffers in Chengdu, China, made final efforts to clear the premises Sunday, a day before Beijing plans to close the building as relations between China and the United States worsen. Security reportedly remained tight outside the consulate as a crowd formed, with onlookers taking photos and video of the scene. China ordered the closure on Friday after the U.S. announced the Chinese consulate in Houston needed to shut down in similar fashion. On Friday, a U.S. State Department official was seen accompanying a group of men who forced open a door at the Houston consulate, which Secretary of State Mike Pompeo called, quote, a hub of spying and intellectual property, end quote. This is according to Reuters. Number 7, Regis Philbin dies at 88. Longtime and prolific television host Regis Philbin died Friday. His family confirmed to People magazine Saturday he was 88. In a statement, his family said he died of natural causes. Philbin is known for hosting the morning show Live with Regis and Kathy Lee alongside Kathy Lee Gifford from 1985 to 2000. Philbin continued in the same role after Gifford left and was replaced by Kelly Ripa, who co-hosted Live with Regis and Kelly until Philbin retired in 2011. Additionally, Philbin hosted Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which the Associated Press notes was the most popular program in the United States at the turn of the century and helped turn Philbin's career into a very lucrative one. This is according to People and the Associated Press. Number 8, Fleetwood Mac's co-founder Peter Green dies at 73. Peter Green, guitarist for and co-founder of the band Fleetwood Mac, has died. His family confirmed to BBC on Saturday. He was 73. Details were scarce, but his family said he died peacefully and, quote, a further statement will be provided in the coming days, end quote. Green, who hails from London, formed Fleetwood Mac with drummer Mick Fleetwood in 1967. After recruiting bass guitarist John McVie to join them, the band released 3 albums and several hit tracks. But Green eventually left the group in 1970 because he was struggling with his mental health. Despite his departure, Green was among the 8 members of the band inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998. In February, Fleetwood staged a tribute show for Green. Quote, I want people to know that I did not form this band. Peter Green did. Quote, end quote, he said, adding that he, quote, wanted to celebrate those early years, end quote. This is according to BBC and the Rolling Stone. Number 9, nonpartisan Christian organizations asked Ted Yoho to resign from board of directors. Bread of the World, a nonpartisan Christian organization focusing on ending hunger, said Saturday that it asked Representative Ted Yoho, Republican Florida, to resign from its board of directors in wake of what the organization called his, quote, verbal attack, end quote, on Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat, New York, last week on the steps of the Capitol. In a statement, the organization said Yoho's, quote, recent actions and words, as reported in the media, are not reflective of the ethical standards of members of our board of directors, end quote. Yoho obliged with the request. Ocasio-Cortez confirmed reports that Yoho directed a profane, sexist insult at her after the two briefly crossed paths Monday. Yoho denied using vulgar language and instead expressed regret for his, quote, abrupt manner, end quote, during the exchange. This is according to ABC News and The Hill. Number 10, suspect confesses starting Nantes Cathedral fire. French authorities arrested a suspect following their investigation into possible arson after a fire broke out inside the famed Cathedral of St. Peter and St. Paul in Nantes last week. The 39-year-old man, an asylum seeker from Rwanda, and a volunteer church assistant confessed to starting the fire, which destroyed the cathedral's organ. His lawyer said he is repentant and, quote, consumed with remorse, end quote. The suspect had the job of locking up the cathedral that night before the fire started. Although the suspect confessed, his motives are unclear. Nantes prosecutor Pierre Sens said in a statement Saturday that the suspect has been charged and faces up to 10 years in prison and 150,000 euros in fines. This is according to France 24 and The Guardian. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, July 26, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I've been doing these pretty much daily on streaming them live on the Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Periscope, and Twitch.tv. But, I hope that everybody out there is doing reasonably well. I know the news is pretty grim. I need to find some good news. On Sunday nights, well, I'm recording this on Sunday morning, but on Sunday nights, Sunday evenings at 6 p.m. Central Time, I do a live KeysDAN show. And I invite you, the listeners, the people of the world, to join me and put in comments, even give me a call if you're close enough to where it doesn't run your bill up too much at 501-470-6386. And you could be a part of that show. So 6 p.m. Central Time tonight, that's 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I invite you to join me right here, wherever you're listening to it right now, I guess, as long as you're listening to the live version. If you're listening to the after recorded version, who knows? Who knows where I'll be? And that number is also good if you want to be a part of the other podcast that I do, where you get to listen to the stories of others or tell your own story. That's at the podcast called What Makes You Famous. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous to find that everywhere. Well, drop me some comments, subscribe, do all that kind of thing. You know. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.